from my travels to remote cultures to cutting that $1 million gemstone. I know with a greater sense of grace, show up, pay attention, and do the right thing. Fear to me now is what was naturally meant to be. An early warning sign things are not quite right. I can be in danger, so I need to slow down, take a close look, and then choose how to respond. Gem cutting is exactly like that. It requires an absolute clarity of mind. I show up fully present and aware of its rarity and value. I take a very, very close look, often to the dismay of the collector or dealer who owns the stone that it's taking so long to fill that order. I have been known to study the stone for over a year or even 3 before I will lay the first cut with patience and clarity. Each time that gem touches that diamond grinding wheel, I am of one mind, aware of exactly how much to remove. I feel like I am in a state of grace, performing with complete elegance and beauty. I am letting this very rare gemstone that has been lying dormant for at least 40 to 50 million years talk to me and guide me to its next state, which is about to be dramatically transformed by my hands and being. This is a very powerful mantra I repeat daily every time I touch a gemstone, big or small. It has nothing to do with human place value upon it, but with nature's own wonder of rarity that every gemstone has value, regardless of the monetary amount arbitrarily placed on it by commerce. To return to my life-changing journey that brought about this understanding and command of fear, my journey begins around the world at the age of 20. I hitchhiked from Los Angeles across the southern states of the U.S. to land in Florida at its most southern tip, Key West. This was mostly uneventful except for a few crazy people who picked me up in their car as I hitchhiked through the south of the U.S. Though I found myself in a few compromising situations traveling across the U.S., it was nothing compared to what was about to happen to me. I flew from Miami to the Bahamas and then onward to Luxembourg and the European continent. Within 48 hours of landing on the European continent, I was about to get tested in the most frightful experience I had ever encountered, a wild car ride, and an unforgettable evening that left an indelible mark on my life forever. This first 48 hours occurred in a foreign land where I did not speak the language nor have a clue where I was. 24 hours after landing in Luxembourg and during my first night in a European youth hostel, I placed my thumb out in the direction of Italy. I'm headed to see the masters of the Renaissance art world, whom I admired and studied in school. It was a very cold, cloudy, wet, and snowy day, so I was extremely happy when anyone would pick me up and move me down the road closer to my destination to the south. Shortly into the day, I'm picked up by 2 French students on their way back to school. One speaks enough English that I can understand about every 3rd word. I have absolutely no sense of the French language, so I'm in the dark about most of what's being said in the car. A short distance in our journey down the road, they pick up a second hitchhiker. He is also French and is headed in about the same direction as I am. The 2 students in the car sort of translate to me that this second hitchhiker is basically headed in my same direction and I should travel along with him once they drop us off down the highway. Sounds reasonable to me. They also vaguely translate that he is headed to see some of his old friends and has invited me to tag along with him where I can have a bed to sleep and a warm meal for the night before I head further on my journey. Sounds even more inviting and like a fun adventure to meet the locals on my second day in a foreign land. Little did I know at the time that the 2 students seemed to have left out the details as to where the second hitchhiker was actually headed and who he was. This is where the bend in the road becomes one of the most frightful experiences in my life. As we disembark from the car, as 2 students wish us well on our journey, the second hitchhiker, who appears to be very nice, begins to say in broken English, "Comrades, comrades, going to see comrades." And at the same time, he holds up his arms and crosses them at his wrist. All I could understand was comrade. Surely he must have meant his friends, but the crossing of his wrists made no sense to me at the time. I would learn much later in the evening the the true meaning of the crossed wrist. We get picked up, and it seems the next driver did not speak English either, but I could sense he was going exactly where my new friend and fellow hitchhiker wanted us to be going. I was delighted and a bit relieved until the car leaves the main highway that is leading me to my ultimate destination and makes a turn down some small country road. I begin to get nervous, completely lost now, and at the mercy of my fellow traveler. I am now clueless to where we are. I never felt threatened by my fellow hitchhiker, but I did feel completely powerless and at the mercy of someone I did not know and could not even converse with. As soon as I made my fear known to him, even though I'm sure he did not understand what I was saying, he seemed to sense my panic and just kept repeating, "Comrades, comrades," smiled, and gave that universal hand gesture of putting food in one's mouth. Communicating in that universal language of hand gestures, which we both understood, reminded me that there was food waiting for us at the end of this journey. I was powerless, lost as to where we were going, and now it was the middle of the night, with not a star or moon to light my way. It was pitch black out, and it seemed to compound how I felt emotionally, complete loss and in a panic fear state. By this time, there was nothing for me to do but continue down this road and see where he was taking me. Remember, I'm now only 48 hours into my journey away from the only home or country I'd ever known. It's the middle of the night and the car just stops at the crest and bend in this narrow country road in the middle of nowhere in the pitch blackness. As we get out of the car, I look up and there is a huge locked gate, and above is a sign that references the French military army. Here we are in the middle of the night, in the middle of what seems like nowhere, and I'm standing in front of a French military army base. So this is what my co-hitchhiker kept saying when he repeated "comrade." The pieces start to come together in my brain. His friends are in the army, and he has come here to visit them. I instantly freak out. I tell him in English, "I can't go on this army base. Are you crazy?" This did nothing for my case, since I know he understood absolutely nothing. But my knee-jerk response was to speak it out as though I needed him to understand what I was going through at this very moment. I'm sure he understood absolutely nothing I was saying. He just kept gesturing me to follow him. Here I am in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, clueless where I am geographically, with a total stranger standing in front of a French army base. My mind is racing. What am I going to do now? He appears to be very excited and to be there to see his old friends, clearly ignoring my panic for sure. He instructs me to follow him as we walk around the base's outer wall with a high chain link fence that encloses this army base. I feel helpless, and at this point my only choice seems to be to follow him and trust him with my life. We come to the back of the base where there is a hole cut into this chain link fence. He instructs me to crawl through this break in the fence. I remember standing there panicking, unable to move. Going completely lost in the middle of nowhere in the dead of night, do I go through the fence as a foreigner on a military army base? Looking back now, it was an absolutely insane choice. It seemed like eternity as I stood there trying to weigh my options with my brain in overdrive in total panic and rare fear. He jumps through the hole, standing on the other side, waving me to come in. What to do? I'm not sure what came over me, but I remember almost in a hypnotic state stepping through this hole into a completely foreign and dangerous space. A foreigner entering a foreign country's army base. It was only my first few days since departing America, and it seems it was not going well for me. We walk up to a building in the back of the base, and my fellow traveler starts to rapidly knock on this door. As the door opens, there are two fellows dressed in full army fatigues. They appear so overjoyed in this moment to see their friend. I was literally invisible to their eyes for what seemed an eternity to me. Here's this El American hippie with long hair and a beard standing there on their army base. They have us enter this building that turns out to be the mess hall of this military base. So here I am. The meal he promised is the army mess hall, and the place to sleep for the night is a French army base. This is definitely not a good situation to find myself in. Neither of his friends speak English, so I'm even more lost as to what to do or to figure out where I am. As he and his friends are talking with exhilaration between one another, I am in complete fear and panic, knowing full well I would not be where I am. I remember pulling out my road map of Europe with major highways designated on it, trying frantically to find out where I am. The three of them are enjoying the company and seem oblivious. Whoa.